Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. Behind me here, we've got the electric chainsaw sharpener. Today's video is going to be all about should you purchase one or should you not? And I'm just going to go over the basics. I'm going to go over it just as easy as possible. And I'm going to show you how I sharpen a chain. And this will give you some insight into whether you should buy one of these or stick to the old proven method of just using a file. So let's take a quick look first before we do anything else, and then we'll get into sharpening. Okay, so this is my electric chainsaw sharpener. I've had it for well over a decade, and it is a very good, precise operating machine. But I will tell you something. I paid about almost $350 for this back then. And it came in different variations, but I have used some for 75 bucks brand new, and guess what? It did the same job. So let's go over to here. Okay, so if you're really good at using a file, this is for the tooth itself and this is for the raker. Continue you doing it, because you know what? A lot of people can master this. I can't. I'm not good at this at all. That's why I got the electric sharpener. When I first started out using a chainsaw, I'd be lucky if I go through dulling 2 chains a year. I just take them into a shop and get them sharpened. But today it can be quite expensive, especially if you have a lot of chains. So in my experience, I only run a chain for about an hour's worth of cutting, and then I switch the chain over. Because if you're just doing nothing but spitting out sawdust, well, you're just overheating your chain, your bar, your saw. It's not good for it. So that's the rig that I bought many years ago. I just pulled that out of the box. And this is some of the tools that come with. You can check the profile of your sharpening, grinding stones. And this is the sharpener here for your stones to shape it. And it comes with a couple of Allen keys. And this is only for the rakers. I'll show you what that's for. But this is a 1/8 stone. And when I took it out of the box, yeah, you could see it's broken. So they are fragile, right? And they spin pretty fast. Okay, so what I do is I put my chains into just a bucket of some diesel, and I just let it sit there. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to put it right here, let it dry off. And then we'll go over the features of the electric chainsaw sharpener. I do it a lot different than other people do, but really the best thing to do is follow the instructions. Every chain will come in a box that will show all the different sharpening angles, and all of them can be done exactly. I do mine a little bit different. I like to experiment. I'm mostly only cutting softwood. If you're cutting hardwoods, or if you're using your chainsaw chain for, say, ripping boards on a mill, completely different. Just follow the instructions. So let me just take the chain out, dry it off, and then we'll come back and we'll see how easy one of these machines are to operate. Well, let's just take a look at some of the standard features you're going to get on any electric chainsaw sharpener. You got your on and off switch right here, and this is your depth gauge here and how far your stone is going to come down on the chain. And you could see, yeah, that's stopping right there, right? And it's all fully adjustable right here. So let's go down to the first angle. Okay, so the first angle we're going to look at is the offset, and you can go from 15 degrees on one side to 15 degrees on the other. I leave mine all at 0 all the time, and you can see all that angle does is it comes out 15 or back 15 maximum. You'll take a look at most chains and they will say 10 degrees. I leave mine at 0. I never had no problem so far. I like it, and it makes it simple. A simple setup is what I want, and it works for me. But like I say, follow the manufacturer's instructions on what they recommend for their chain. But for me, I just leave mine at 0 all the time. Never had any problems. So let's go down to the next angle. Okay, so there is the angle there that you're going to have for the vise that's going to hold your chain in, and you can see it'll swing from 35 to this side, from 35 to this side. So when you're sharpening a chain, you can only, like, take for instance, I only use 30, so I go 30 on one side to 30 on the other, because the teeth are offset, and you'll see how that it needs to move. So you got to move this on one side of your chain, sharpening your chain, and then you swing it over to this side to do the other side of the chain, because the angles are offset. So let's go on to the third angle there. Okay, that's the third angle there, and you can see that it's highlighted and it's 55 degrees. That's the magic sweet spot that I found, and it seems that the manufacturer likes that as well. And that's what I leave mine on all the time as well. So it's very easy to set up. Once you have your angles down, you just write down a piece of paper and you're good to go. So whatever angles you choose, use the manufacturer's angles or adjust your own over time. And that is just the angle of the sharpening stone when it comes down, what angle it's coming down. And it's coming down at 55 degrees. So let's take a look at a feature of this particular chainsaw sharpener that comes in two versions, a manual version and a hydraulic version. So at the time, they threw in the hydraulic version for the same price as the manual version, but both are good. And like I said, you can spend $300-400 or more on a chainsaw sharpener, or you can spend 75 bucks. And I found the $75 one did the same job, but you need a little more setup, and you spend a lot more time making adjustments back and forth. So I'll show you on this particular one the adjustments. So let's first take a look at the hydraulic version, and you'll see that this automatically pinches the chain in for you. Some other units you'll see has a great big, like a wrench handle here to tighten everything up. This one here just uses these numbers here that correspond with the type of chain that you have and the gauge, and it just designates the thickness here, so that when you pull your chainsaw cutter down, can you see where it's tightening up in here? See how it's moving back and forth? So that automatically helps you, so that when you finish sharpening one tooth, you can back it off, freewheel the chain, and go on to the next one. So let's load the chain on and let's take a look and see how easy it actually is. Okay, so I've got the chain all loaded on there, and as you can see, you'll have this guide plate here, and the chain can just freewheel along here so easily. And when you take a look, the guide plate will drop back here and it will stop. And that's when you push it down to sharpen the chain. Now it's all adjustable from here, and this just moves this further or back, one or the other. And as you bring down your stone, it just matches the contour of the tooth, and you make a cut. So I'll give you a close-up of what that looks like and how to set it up and how close you have to be. And I like to just kiss the outside of the tooth at first and then adjust from there, because if you take too much of a bite at first, well, it's not going to work out too good for you. You just want to take a little bit off. You know, it's not like you're skate sharpening. So let's show that angle next. Okay, so this is when you bring down your cutter. Of course, you'll have it running at the time, but you always do a dry run first. And just listen to this. See how it's just barely touching? And that's where I start off, right there. So it's barely touching. And for me to sharpen a whole chain takes me about 5 minutes tops, but that's where the start is, right there. Now I'll show you what I do first before I ever start going any further, and that is this. I always mark the first tooth with a little bit of paint pen, just a little bit of a marker. You start going around, you don't know where the beginning is and where the end is, right? At least that way there, it'll show you where the start is and where the end is. Because remember, let's just take another look at these teeth here so you can understand what we're dealing with. Now you see this tooth right here? See the angle is going to be cut out like here? Well, you have another tooth on the opposite side, right? And it's cutting this angle as well. So you have to cut all of these first, and then you have to swing your table over. I got it set at 30. You got to swing it all the way over to the other side of the opposite 30 to do these ones here. And so you can see that they are staggered. And then when you go over to this one, well, we're back to this angle like this, right? So I'll be cutting this one here, skipping this one, and then going on to this one. Okay, so I got you pretty well zoomed in there. I'll just start the machine up. That's pretty quiet. So remember, as I bring the grinder stone down, it grips onto here. This is holding the tooth in place where it is. So we'll just bring it down and slowly, that's it. When I bring it up, now I can move it over to the next tooth, and this automatically holds it back, right? Can you see that there? This holds it back, and then I'll be cutting this one. See how it tightens it up? That's it. I think you got the idea. And then if you want to grind down any more, because you'll take a look at the tooth and you take a good look at it, and you want to grind it down any more, then all you will do is adjust your depth and adjust the amount of pressure that's going in this direction, you know, whether it's got to go this way or that way, and you'll be able to just zip it just a little bit. And that's all you want, is just to kiss it at first. You don't want to go in there and just like a big hand grinder and grind it like crazy. So I'll finish doing this, and then I'll show you how to do the other side. Okay, so we're back at the beginning here. You can see where the mark is. Now all I'll do, you just loosen this up. Here's my 30 degrees. I just go over to this side 30 degrees now, and I can sharpen the chains on the other side. But do you want to take a look and see what one of these chains look like? We'll take a look at this one right here and we'll see how sharp it actually is. Okay, that's it right there, right on the underside. You can see how it's sharpened that up real nice. So I mean, yeah, it's just like a razor blade in there now. And that's all you need right there. Okay, so let's just take a look at the rakers next. This is a raker. Now what that is that just sets the depth of the tooth. So when you're using your saw, before it comes to the tooth, it's going to hit this raker, and it'll set the depth between here and the tooth. So as you sharpen your tooth down, it's going to lower in relation to the raker. So over time, the raker is going to be sitting up higher than the tooth, and you'll hardly ever get anything cut. So this has got to be set, and you just go from one tooth to the next. And if you could see right in here, the gap, and on this chain it's supposed to be about 25 thou, and you just check that. Now I'll show you how I take it down, how I take them down with the stone, and I find it very easy, and we'll go on to that step next. So the first thing I do is I turn the table so it's right at 0. So it's 90 degrees to the work surface, but I've left my cutter or my stone in the exact same angle of 55 degrees. So as you can see, I've left it at 55 degrees, and if you just take a look right there, you could see where there's a cutter right there, and the tooth is being held by the jig, and it's sitting just like this. Now if you were to bring down your stone and contact this surface here, now I don't have to take this cutter down because This chain hasn't been sharpened that often, but you would just mount it on your machine, and it would come down and it would just kiss the angle just like this. See how this is just like this? And you would just make sure that the distance between here and here is still maintained at 25 thou. So what I do is I usually just take one of these and I'll sharpen it down to the proper depth first, and then I'll use the machine to bring it down with the depth stop so it's exactly the same height every time, and I'll just kiss just the top of these all the way around. Well, that was just a quick overview of the electric chainsaw sharpener. Like I said, $75 is the exact same thing as that, except this has got more features to it, makes things a lot more faster. So generally what I do is I sharpen maybe a half a dozen of these chains at a time. And if you just take a look on the back of one of these boxes here, yeah, it's got all the cutting angles down for you and everything. Now, I've been using this particular brand here. Now, when I bought my MS260, so this is a 16-inch chain. It comes with a steel chain, right? Go buy some steel chain. Yeah, you're going to pay a fortune for steel chain, right? And for me, I'm just like a guy that just cuts the wood, nothing fancy. I just want to cut, and that's it. And this is the brand here I used. And I got a dozen of these chains for $60 back then. And I'm still using them now. So yeah, there's a lot of people that, you know, say, oh, you got to have this brand of chain or that brand of chain or, you know, whatever. I'm just doing like meatball chainsaw cutting, and that's just about it. I just cut it, split it, stack it, and I'm good. You know, so I mean, I'm not a professional logger. A professional logger, yeah, they can go out there for the day and they can use a file and sharpen up their chain just nice. I can't. That's why I bought this. And for all of you that are thinking about maybe you should buy one or not buy one, well, I'll tell you, it depends on how many chains you have to sharpen a year. If you're only using the saw maybe once a year for a couple hours, just get a shop to do it. Or I don't even know what they charge now. Back then, 2002, when I bought my my Stihl MS260, it was about $6 to sharpen a chain. Now, what is it? I have no idea. Maybe it's 16 bucks. I have no idea. So thanks for joining me here today. I hope you got something from this and you decide whether you want to buy one of these machines or not. I'd recommend, if you don't do it too often, yeah, pick up one of these $75 ones. They come with the cutting stones already. They come in a kit. They don't cost a lot of money, and as far as I'm concerned, they do just as good a job. Thanks for joining me here today. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're quite welcome to subscribe and see some unique things that I do every week, and hopefully you enjoy it too. Cheers.